Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Sully Squad. Monday night at 6. You know what time it is. Got a lot to get into here. We got Philadelphia Phillies coming off a huge weekend series. A nice, early season, April. It's hard. Out of 162 baseball games, it's hard to get two into an early season game, or series, but nice series victory versus the world champion Dodgers. So we'll get into some Phillies talk. We got a big NCAA championship game tonight. Houston against Florida. So we'll break that down a little bit, and maybe we'll do a little Sixers or Flyers. Although I don't know, I might have to hold my nose if we talk about them because both teams are struggling. So, but we'll get into it here. I got my usual cast with me here. I got right next to me. I got my man Jeff. What's up, Jeff? How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing? I'm pretty good and good.
Doing pretty good, man. It's like I said, Monday night. I always like come on in here and talking some sports. So yeah, and then I got right next to Jeff. I got my man Sean Kilrain. What's up, Sean? How you doing, bro?
What's up, man? All good here. Phillies got a nice win, so looking forward to talking about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, so let's get into it here. Philadelphia Phillies, 7-2, first place in the East. Nice weekend. Pretty wild game yesterday. Yesterday it got out to that 6-2 lead. And then the bullpen, Romero.
Done. I've already had enough of him. When traded.
Yeah, Romero's. There's a lot of positives to take to yesterday's game, but then one of the big negatives is definitely Romero.
It's Romano.
Romano.
Yes.
Actually,
Romano.
I'm
saying Romero. Yeah, you're right, Romano. Well, Romano. Either way,
potato.
He should be Gonzo because
we had a Romero here a while ago. Remember, and he was wacky, the pitcher.
Yeah. JC Romero.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, shit on that 08 team. JC Romero was good.
Yeah.
It was really good that year. In fact, shit, I wish Romano was Romero. You know what I mean? Jeez, can we call JC Romero back and get him back? You know what I mean? But anyway, let's go through takeaways from the first 9 games, really, but especially this past week. Like Jeff, I'll start with you. What's your takeaway so far from this Phillies season?
Well, one, a win is a win, and you know what? It's good early, just as much as it's good late. But it shows that they can still win. They can win small ball. They can win a tight game. They can come back. All these little things still can stick in their head, and they're not like, oh, shit, we're going to lose. This is going to happen. So that's one good thing that I took out of it. I'm still sitting there popping the Alka-Seltzer or the Tums or whatever when everything's happening, but I just think it's good that they are seeing that they can come back and they just don't lie there. Again, they're not relying 100% on the long ball. That's one of the things that I'm seeing. They playing some more small ball. And I think some of that was with the Rockies when they were running a lot. If you noticed in the Rocky series, they were taking off all over the place. I think it was a big help. That's one big thing I took out of the team. I think they need some bullpen help. I'm sorry, but they need it. Alvarado is Alvarado. He's either on or he's off.
Mm-hmm.
Romano, I don't think he's healthy enough yet. He needs to go down to AAA something and get his arm back. He makes me really nervous going even in there. And Orion should be our closer. Period. Slam dunk. That's what I get out of those two.
Yeah, agreed. How about you, Sean? What's your biggest take from this start of the season? And then look, we got Paul Spencer's comment here too. Damn, nine games in, and you're 8 games up on my Braves who are 1-8. Wow, yeah, that's. Braves have definitely had a tough start, that's for sure.
What stuck out to me is just, Jeff hit it on all points, the bullpen is in disarray. You don't know who's going to pitch the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Romano's velocity's down. He even said it himself, but he just doesn't look like he's there or whatnot. Kirkring, I like the 8th. We have to have like a bullpen by committee, which we don't have. But what I loved most about Friday night's Dodger series was JT, man.
Yeah.
So running and gunning, getting guys out, and most importantly, Shohei Ohtani, who went 1 for 11 in that series with 5 Ks, 0 walks. That's important, and everybody's hitting. I guess I'll still keep on talking shit about Nicky 3 buttons because he hit that grand slam. So I'm happy with that. But Armando Sosa, wow, and then you got Bohm. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. Who knows?
Yeah.
You're a big boy. Suck it up. But when he's in there, he's long. He plays some good defense. So, season's still young and early.
Yeah, I mean, seasons in diapers, but it was very encouraging. The Dodgers came in here undefeated. Phillies take 2 of 3, and you touched on Friday's game. Yeah, I mean, Friday was basically the Luzardo / JT game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Luzardo's awesome.
Yeah, Luzardo pitched his balls off, and then JT. They don't win that game without JT. I mean, JT. They don't win that game without JT. It looked like Romano was going to blow it. Tell you, positive. And one thing about the positives too, a lot of talk was made of like the Phillies like lineup, like having like different approaches at the plate.
Yeah.
Well, their pitch selection has been much, much better so far. You know what I'm saying? So, much better pitch selection. I'll tell you a guy that has me a little concerned, Brandon Marsh, though. Brandon Marsh.
Yeah, I'm not sold on him. Like, whoop-de-doo yesterday, a nice play in center field. But you're absolutely right, Joe. Inconsistent. I want consistency. I know it's early, but yeah.
And it's easy to have, everybody says hindsight's 20/20, but just to put it out there, Marsh is struggling. To me, he's clearly not an everyday player. I've already seen enough. Okay. And then Chris Rapizzi has it right here. Marsh, not an everyday player. Totally agree. I think the center fielder of the future, as long as he does good in AAA, is Crawford. The kid Crawford.
I think we're going to see that kid come up this year. He's doing a hell of a job in Lehigh Valley. I don't know if you guys watched or look at his stats, but the kid's balling.
Yeah.
Second game in, Joey. Yeah.
Yeah, so Crawford, hopefully there. But, to touch on Brandon Marsh, like I said, hindsight being 20/20, but the kid Ohapi, especially with JT Realmuto being a free agent, the kid Ohapi, the catcher that they traded for Marsh, I think he's hit like 4 homers already.
Yeah, they're talking about him.
I got him in fantasy. He's doing pretty good.
Even Trout went back-to-back yesterday.
So hang on. Let me get a couple more comments, and then I got Diego's hopping one too. But I got Michael Papernick Jr. says the Phillies bottom barreled for reclamation project in Romano. You get what you pay for. Phillies got a dead fish. Totally agree. I had another one here. Let me see. I wanted to get what the hell's wrong with my laptop. But yeah, it's here we go. What's your thoughts on the so-called torpedo bats really used by the Yankees advantage?
Like it,
I'm not sure. You like them?
Yeah, whatever. It's
Listen,
yeah. It's not the bat. It's the player. Judge. Look at his stature. I mean, the dude is a mammoth.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it.
We got some guys that ordered it. We had Stott ordered it. I think JT's ordering one. I know Harper ordered them. They're right here from King of Prussia, as a matter of fact. They're being made here in King of Prussia.
Yep.
But all it does is just give a little bit more of the wood at the meat of the bat instead of in the top.
Exactly.
So
Hey, what's up, Diego? How you doing, bro?
What's up, guys? My bad, around a little late.
Hey, we were just talking about the Phillies series and like what so far this year and what your takeaway is so far from these first 9 games, especially the Dodgers, particularly the Dodgers series.
6:13 p.m.
All right, hang on. We lost Diego. Zach McDevitt with a comment here. He goes, do you guys think that Alvarado's 63% sinker usage is why they prefer him in the 8th, with his cutter basically being an off-speed pitch at 94? What do you got? What do you think of that?
I mean,
as long as it's over the plate. I mean, when I say over the plate, as long as he's not too wide and all over the place. I mean, JT's back there, and he's, like you said, people think he's washed up and this and that. He might not be the hitter he once was, but he's a hell of a defensive catcher, and he blocks a lot of that plate. So you're going to get that ball bouncing. Some nights Alvarado's on. Some nights he's just get him out of there. You can tell when he's not ready.
JT calls a hell of a game, just like Jeff said. You know what I mean? And Luzardo said it perfectly Saturday. No, it was Friday. I'm sorry.
Friday.
He didn't have to. He didn't once wave him off because he knew what JT was bringing. And that says a lot for a catcher. I get it. He played a lot of games. His knees aren't the same, but if they keep doing what they're doing like they did earlier this season, I think we'll be all right. Because Marshawn, I like. He's got a pop in his bat. It's refreshing to see a guy like him. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. But as long as Alvarado is putting it over the plate in the strike zone, I got no problem with it.
Yeah.
Got a comment. Here's my man Pat Bernard. He said, "Hey fellas, what's up, Pat?
What's up,
How
Pat?
you doing, bro? Make sure you check Pat's show out on Sunday mornings. Pat does a great job." But Diego, we were going over everybody's perspective. What was your takeaway? Particularly this Dodgers series. Like nice early season matchup. A lot of juice down South Philly.
I feel like the Phillies got a pretty good lineup. I feel a pretty good pitching lineup. The Dodgers series showed that Luzardo had a great outing. But yeah, I think Phillies look great. The bats look great. 7-2 start. They're hitting. They're rolling. So I think they're good.
Yeah, and getting back to the torpedo bats thing, Michael Papernick Jr. says, "Are the torpedo bats the new legal corked bat?" I don't know. I mean, they say they're perfectly legal, and like
Freddie says he's enjoying it. The commissioner said he likes it.
The tush push is perfectly legal too, when they're trying to get rid of that.
Yeah, because they hate us. He's just mad because we executed and they don't. The Packers. Come on.
Yeah, they hate us because they hate us because they ain't us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I feel like by the end of the season, everyone's going to be using them.
Yeah.
I agree.
So if everyone's using it, who cares? That's equal competition.
Yeah. And Manfred said it brings competition, excitement to the game. So if he's for it, I don't see a problem with it. Like I said, it's the player that is holding the bat, not the bat holding the player.
Hey, all I know is when that steroid ever came out, like everybody pointed to the great players like the Barry Bonds and the Sosa and McGuire. They were dudes that really blew that were taking steroids, didn't do shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember, I think wasn't it? It came out like David Bell or somebody. No, was it? Maybe it wasn't David Bell. Maybe I shouldn't say. I don't want to say his name if it wasn't him. But there were players that were like mediocre. They're like he was doing roids, and I was like, well, shit, he should have done more. You know?
Who was the guy on the Baltimore Orioles? He was one of them.
Oh, Rafael Palmeiro.
No.
Brady Anderson.
Brady Anderson.
Bingo. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Brady Anderson. Brady Anderson was skinny as shit, and like I think he hit like 10 or 12 homers one year. The next after that, he's hitting like 52.
Yeah, things that make you go, right?
That's right.
Yeah, here it is right here. Michael Papernick Jr. says it was Brady Anderson at 11 home runs one year, 50 the next. And I mean, we could even take it to the 93 Phillies. Like, remember when Dykstra was skinny as shit. He bulked up and everybody was like, oh man, you've been working out. He's like, I've been taking some special vitamins.
Yeah.
The Flintstone pills.
Yeah, it was.
Hey, all I know is I remember watching ball back then, and the saying was always chicks dig the long ball,
Yeah.
and you still got to hit the ball, like you said, I mean, Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before he ever injected a needle in his ass.
That's how
what
ruined his career. He just could have kept doing what he was doing. He would definitely be in the Hall of Fame. He was a fabulous hitter.
And even Mark McGwire, too.
Yeah.
Canseco said he was smashing them out of the Coliseum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, he wanted that edge just like everybody did in that era, like Joey said. And, it is what it is. We can go on naming names.
Oh, yeah.
Sosa, McGwire, Palmeiro, the list goes on and on. But I was shocked that Von Rodriguez, is out there. They, as good as a catcher as he was on juice. I was like, damn. But, is what it is.
But you know what, though? Look at it like this, though, right? Like, imagine, to Jeff's point, Barry Bonds would have been the Hall of Fame either way. But imagine you are Barry Bonds and you're the best player in baseball.
Yeah.
And then you're looking and 2-3 dudes next to you are sticking needles in themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And they're hitting 60 home runs. I don't know. I mean, is it morally right? Maybe not. But if half the league's doing it and I'm the best guy and these guys are getting an advantage, I mean, shit. I might sit there and be like, you know what? This is bullshit. I'm putting myself on the same level playing field. I'm better than these motherfuckers.
I know they're kind of high and mighty, but you're a professional athlete. Yeah.
People look up.
It's wrong.
Oh,
I just think if everyone's doing it, you're not gonna get a competitive edge over me. If everyone in the league's taking steroids, then that's the playing field we're playing at.
You're going to get caught. I mean, that's inevitable. Everybody gets caught with something. I mean, obviously, there's players that'll say, "Oh, I did this, I did that." There's many players that used to come out in football and say, "I used to smoke weed as I was driving into the to the game." Those types of things like that. They didn't get caught. Okay, great, whatever. Didn't do anything for you during the game. But I mean, me personally, I don't care if the guys are lined up around me. If I'm doing as good as I'm doing, you don't tinker with it. Just leave things alone. Let them do what they want to do. If they want to crash their career.
Me personally, I never was more into baseball than when Barry Bonds and Sosa were on that home run chase. Barry Bonds or McGwire 67 and Sosa had 65.
I just looked
that
at
was that was the best year of baseball ever.
And I was more pissed at Roger Maris. His family had to see that shit because I'm sorry, his record should have stood. Nobody's hit 76 home runs. Give me a freaking break.
That's like when I would get home from school, I'd be like, gotta watch Mark McGwire tonight. They're just smoke too, you know what I mean? Then watch Sosa too. It was so much more exciting. I watch sports for the entertainment of it.
Yeah.
I remember that year in particular was really interesting because my uncle had the tasty cake route in Juniata, Feltonville. So parts of Juniata would have McGwire cars, right? You know what I mean? And then we get to Feltonville and you'd see Sosa all over the place. It was really cool. It was cool. You know what I mean? It was cool. And to your point, Diego, yeah, you're right. It wasn't necessarily we didn't know about the steroids then. So that year it was just fun. Remember they saw McGwire's locker room and he had the creatine or whatever in there.
Yeah.
I don't think that was banned, but it was just it was just exciting. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Paul Spencer says, hell, now people are going to say I'm taking roids, getting fat to ripped in 6 months.
That's different.
Yeah, Paul.
You're getting yourself healthy in a different way. You're not going for a record.
Yeah, exactly. Michael Packard Jr. says you could do all the steroids or other stuff, but you still have to hit that ball. That's true. Yeah. And in all fairness, the pitchers were doing it too.
Yeah.
I mean, Clemens was roiding up.
Andy Pettit, is that who it was?
Andy Pettit, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I agree with Eddie.
A-Rod was another dude took steroids, and he would have been a Hall of Famer without him.
Yep. Clemens,
yeah. It really hurt A-Rod because I mean, you look back when A-Rod was young and the shit he was doing, and then everybody just suspected A-Rod, and then A-Rod. You know what? A-Rod put up unbelievable numbers and no one gave a shit.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It was actually kind of sad. Like the end of his career with the Yankees, it was like, boy, like numbers.
Seattle wasn't getting a lot of press.
No one cared.
Seattle wasn't getting a lot of press. So he was just out there. If he played for the Yankees the whole time, he would have been big. But he played for Seattle. They don't get a lot of press.
Yeah. Mike Packard Jr. says, if the 4 major sports test for HTH, which of the wait, I don't understand the question. Which of the
4 major sports tests for HGH, which is a blood test only? I believe it's baseball.
I disagree with Eddie Prather says home runs are an overrated stat. I give me a slugger any day of the week.
Yeah.
I'm all about small. I mean, in October, I agree with them as far as when it comes to October because some of the pitching's so good in these playoff games that you got to find ways to manufacture runs. But even with that said, if you look at the playoff games, a lot of times it's a big time home run that changes the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Look at yesterday's game with Nicky Three Buttons. You don't know what you're going to get from him if he's swinging at the dirt, chopping trees, and bases loaded. And what do you know? Talk that shit, and he gets a grand slam.
What Michael's saying there, I remember Schmitty saying that live on TV, that if steroids were prevalent, he probably would have tried it. He was my hero. He was the one who I always looked up to. And the reason why I thought these goofs taking the stuff and roiding up when Schmitty's had 500 home runs, he didn't take that stuff. That's the way I always thought about it, and that's what threw me off with those players.
Yeah, Mike Papernick Jr. says I grew up in Feltonville by Rising Sun on the Boulevard. Well, Mike, my uncle was the Tasty Cake guy over there. We used to serve the what was it? The F Street Deli right there, right across. Well, we were the other side of the boulevard, F Street Deli, and we used to serve all them places. Eddie Prather says McGuire overrated as hell. McGuire only hit like 200 some of them years, but I don't care though. There was nothing like going to the vet and watching McGuire take batting practice.
Yeah,
I had more fun watching McGuire on the A's, him and Canseco. I got to go down to a Camden Yards game, and then when the two of them was the last game last year, they were together, and that was a blast. The two of them back to back were like monsters.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's funny because obviously I was I've been a Phillies fan my whole life, but like the Phillies, back then when I started watching baseball, the Phillies sucked, and I used to love watching these. I remember my grandpa and my Uncle Bob. We went down to this was the year before Camden Yards. We went down to the old Memorial Stadium down Baltimore and saw the A's play in 1990. It was pretty cool. They were exciting. And that A's team, I mean, they made the World Series 3 years in a row. I mean, they only won one, but they made it 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Paul Spencer says, getting back to the playoffs as far as big home runs. Look last year, Freddie Freeman, two walk-off home runs in the series. Yeah.
Yep.
And the Dodgers won that series in 5, but let's keep it real. If the Yankees find a way to win game 1, that series is totally different.
If you think of home runs for the Phillies, let's give maybe 1 or 2 of home runs of your favorite home runs that the Phillies hit. It doesn't have to be that they won the World Series, isn't that? What would be like 1 or 2 of your favorite home runs that the Phillies hit?
Matt Stairs.
That's one of them.
Yeah. You know what mine is? Because I'm a little bit more of an old head. I I go back to '93, both by Lenny Dykstra. One was Game 5 in Atlanta. After Mitch Williams came in and pissed the game away, I was all pissed off. I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna blow this fucking game. And then Dykstra hits the bomb off the Wallers. And then Game 6 in Toronto, Dykstra again. We were losing, came back, Dykstra hits a bomb, and then we take the lead. And of course, unfortunately, it ended terribly because Joe Carter hit the home run to beat us. But I like the two from Dykstra in that year.
Anything, Sean? Anything come to mind or?
Nah, just about what Joey said and Diego, man. I mean that hits on all cylinders.
I got Schmitty's 500th. I mean that, and the call itself with him clapping going around the bases. I mean everything went through. But my two that are bunched together is Victorino and Big Fat Joe Blanton hitting the home run, man.
Yeah.
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 That.
You know,
you could put Bryce Harper kind of in the background, even though against the Pods, but still, Victorino and Blanton. It was just like, what?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, I mean that. Yeah, now that you brought that up, I mean, God, there's so many of them. You know what I mean? There's just so many big home runs. You know, and just in the playoffs alone, yeah. I mean,
just in play appearances, there's big ones like Brett Myers. You know, when he's what did Brett Myers? Didn't he foul it off like 9 times?
No, it was
yeah,
it was 11 or something.
11?
Yeah, that was the game where Victorino went deep. I think Myers fouled off a million pitches, then Victorino took Sabathia deep.
Yeah.
You got peak Incaviglia home runs. You got Pap the Bat. You got, I mean, that Joe. You can go on and on. I mean, but like
the guy before just put up there about like Will Clark and them being better hitters.
Yeah,
first basemen.
First basemen. You know a fact about Will Clark? Anybody got a good fact about him? I just found this out. His first hit in single A, double A, triple A, and in the majors was a home run.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
It's never been done before.
Yeah, Will Clark was Will Clark was a great player. And Will Clark. One of the things I remember about Will Clark too was he was really a clutch player too.
Yeah.
I remember the '89 NLCS. I'm obviously showing our age a little bit here, but like,
good.
But he I mean he had like 2 or 3 homers. I think he crushed it in Wrigley Field.
He had the sweetest swing, just a nice easy swing, and it just went right through it.
I love Griffey's swing. I mean,
yeah, he did. They used to call him. What did they call it? It was Will Clark.
The Thrill.
Will the Thrill. I know that, but it was Clark, Will Clark, Kevin Mitchell, and the third baseman. Kevin No, not Kevin McReynolds. Who the fuck was the third baseman? I'm drawing a blank.
It was before Panda.
Yeah, they had a third baseman that was really good because they used to call him the San Francisco Stock Exchange or something like that. I forget.
No, dude.
Yeah, I know. I could see his face too. It wasn't Kevin McReynolds because he was an outfielder.
No,
I see him as a Met, and he was always striking out.
I'm gonna Google him here. And you know what's funny? When you talk about baseball teams that were like really, really great teams that kind of got screwed and didn't make the playoffs, one of the first ones that comes to mind is the 93 Giants. Like the 93 Giants won like 103 games. Mm-hmm. They didn't even make the playoffs because you didn't have the wild card back then.
Yeah, remember Jack Clark was another one on the Giants.
Yeah. Although I always remember him as a Cardinal. Jack, remember the run in Redbirds? It was like they had all that speed, and then Jack. Here we go. Somebody found it for me.
Matt Williams. Right? That's right.
Arizona.
Yeah, Matt Williams.
And then he went to Colorado.
Yeah, Matt Williams, Kevin Johnson, or Kevin Mitchell. Wow.
And then getting back to the roids. Mike Papernick Jr. says Schmitty says Greenies were in a big bowl on the table in the locker room.
Well, I give greenies to my dog, but there are those things for his teeth.
Yeah, for their breath.
Exactly.
We got these guys, it'll pump you up.
Hey, there's a lot of older guys. They're probably they make greenies. There's a lot of older guys that probably take some blue pills to get a little hedge too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, blue shoes.
Remember, Chooch got suspended for taking
Adderall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a masking agent for what he was taking. So
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know.
Another one he was the last one that I can think of a Phillies catcher who could control the pitchers.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Actually, when you think about it, going back to speaking of catchers, like, you going back to the Dalton days.
Yeah.
Phillies have been very fortunate with catchers. I mean, you
see JT throw out Ohtani the other day?
What's that?
Yeah, that's
JT throw out Ohtani?
Yeah.
Jeez. He's ridiculous. After knee surgery, still popping up that quick.
He's
the best thing is
was a 0.41 or something last year.
Something crazy, dude. And he's got a rocket.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, he's just
Ohtani had 30 stolen bases in a row without getting thrown out.
Man, well,
rounding the wrong dude. Yeah, he rounded the wrong dude.
Maybe we should put him in the close.
Yeah,
I know, right?
That's like running against, like, remember Yadier Molina?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude, he couldn't run on him at all.
I know.
Benito Santiago was another one, man. I loved how he could gun him out at San Fran.
Yadier Molina would do it like he would hit second base off like a knee.
Yeah.
He was unreal. Mike Pappernick Jr. says greenies, amphetamines.
I thought they were multivitamins.
I know, right?
Don't forget your multivitamins.
They were Flintstone vitamins. That was it. They were in the shape of the
Flintstones. I told you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. So let's get predictions for this week, and then I want to kind of, even though they stink, I just wanted to maybe talk a little bit about what the Sixers could possibly do to get any type of a future, because we were talking about steroids or vitamins. Well, shit. I mean, somebody needs to inject Joel Embiid with something. But anyway, before that, all right. So this week the Phillies have 3 in Atlanta and 3 in St. Louis. Before next week. So, how about if we all get a prediction? The next 6 games, what's the Phillies' record? Like, Jeff, I guess we'll start with you and then move over.
I think they'll take both series. So
okay,
2 wins in each. If they're 3-game series, 2 out of 3 on each.
That's right.
Yeah, what are you thinking, Sean?
6-0.
Yeah. Optimism. There we go.
They'll probably take 2 out of 3.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go 4-2. I think, although I was pleasantly surprised because I was down there on Thursday, the Taiwan Walker game, and I remember
about that, man. Like, we were talking before you went. You were probably like, "Oh shit, Taiwan!" But dude, he looked good. I think he took all that negative energy. I think everybody can agree and just said, "Boom."
Yeah.
For one start.
Yeah. I mean, good for him.
What happens next start?
Until Suarez, comes back, which is who knows when.
Yeah.
But more power to him. Keep it going, for the Phils.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here's another one. Mike Pappernick Jr. says Tony. Well, we touched on Molina, but Tony Pena.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tony Pena had a hell of an arm.
Mm-hmm.
And he says the Phillies go 4-2.
I'm right there. 4-2.
So, but anyway, yeah, I wanted
Atlanta's off to a horrible start.
Yeah, how about it, man? With Profar, and then all the other.
Acuna's not back yet.
Yeah, 1-8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that part of it's great. The only thing that stinks is that the Phillies are 7-2. The Mets just swept their series, so the Mets are 6-3. I was kind of hoping they would drop a few more, but I mean it is what it is,
right?
Yeah,
it's early. I mean,
yeah.
Mets are going to be good all season.
Just ride that wave.
Mike Papper Jr. says, I got to eat crow on me sitting. I guess he probably means shitting on Taiwan.
Yeah.
Everyone does.
I mean, everybody was, man.
It's one game. It's one game, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's just wait.
What are they? Yeah, what's the saying? Braves look. Mike Marinon says, Braves look horrible. Yeah, they look like shit so far. What's the saying? Something like, even a squirrel gets a blind squirrel gets a nut or something like that, or I don't know, whatever the fuck it is.
Every squirrel gets that nut. No.
You're a blind squirrel. You're fucked.
Yeah.
Every
squirrel gets hit by a
Fucking
car.
use your eyes
Whatever.
for everything. Fucking climb trees.
Words of wisdom.
He's
from Joey
blind.
Sullivan. Go ahead. Go ahead, Joe. Give me some wisdom.
I don't know. I don't know. There was some saying I was
Roses
trying to
are red?
think of. Well, you know what?
Yeah, they're saying the blind squirrel don't get shit.
King Kong ain't got shit on me.
Yeah, or you know what? Taiwan Walker, hey, big bitches need love too. I don't know.
There you go.
There you go.
Something like that.
Yeah. Mike Papper Jr. says, I think Walker would do well in the bullpen, just using him for one inning.
Oh, absolutely. I think
Yeah.
they're going to experiment something like that, you know. I mean,
here we go. Oh, blind to blind squirrel finds a nut is the expression.
Blind to blind squirrel?
I was right. A blind squirrel finds even a blind squirrel finds a nut.
Oh, okay.
That's a
there
lie.
you go, Joe.
That's a fucking lie.
Now I'm thinking about three blind mice. See how they run.
Expression.
Hickory dickory dock. The mouse put up the clock. I'm not going to go any further with that.
I got to get into for that one.
Yeah, the dice man has a different way of saying it.
Hey,
Remember Mother Goose?
I get my sayings. Like I got my music tunes. Like my girlfriend Amanda always cracks up at me because like we'll be out and a song will come on and I literally get every single word wrong. You know what I mean? Like we were out for New Year's and I'm trying to sing the song and she was busting out laughing. She's like, Joey, she's like, you don't know any of these songs. I'm like,
It's okay,
I'm like, well,
Joe.
you know, whatever.
Joey the Butcher. It's okay, Joey the Butcher.
I know.
Oh, was it the song from Greg Kinn that goes and you got those wrong?
I think so. I get everything wrong.
Sorry about that.
I get it all wrong. Out of the box sports says every blind squirrel finds a nut once in a lifetime, but Diego's right, he's screwed.
That's the whole saying? I'm gonna get that t-shirt.
All right. So speaking of
nuts.
Speaking of nuts and people and yeah, I know. I was pissed off. Speaking of the NCAA tournament has their championship game tonight.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I was kind of pissed off because I had Duke the other night. And
they blew it. They were like 12 late.
I was going to say, I hate Duke, but I had Duke. And you talk about, they played like a fucking blind squirrel with like 30 seconds left. I mean, how the hell do you blow that freaking game? So let's get into tonight's game a little bit. We got Houston against Florida. I don't know what
the spreads. Florida's -1.5. Pretty much a pick 'em. You know.
Give me my prediction only to tease Paul. Nothing good comes out of Texas, so I can't go with Houston, Florida, because
I like Houston
because I don't like the Cowboys. Nothing comes good out of Texas.
Well,
yeah,
the way Houston plays defense, man, it's amazing the formation they play and stuff like that. But I got to go with the Gators. I love that kid Claxton, man.
He has gone off the last 2 games. 30 and 34
back to back 30+ points.
And
when he's on.
He's a transfer.
Yes, he is from Iona.
Iona,
Tino's,
averaged 8 points at Iona.
Yeah, I mean, I got in the Yahoo March Madness thing before we pick up on it again. Florida and Houston. I'm shocked. I'm ranked 27th. I got Florida winning 78-70. So you never know. We shall see.
I'm going Houston,
For a low-scoring game.
75-68.
Okay. 78-70 Florida for me.
Yeah. Paul Spencer says, Florida tonight with my heart. They were my team going in, but Houston can run you out of the building, and they're built with heart under Kelvin Sampson. 11-1 run with versus Duke, final 4 minutes. Mike Papperner Jr. says, I saw a video where they wouldn't let Elijah on.
Yeah.
Celebrate with
Why?
Stuff. I've seen that.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. How the hell could – well, who's the fucking idiot that don't know
Yeah, that stopped him.
Elijah on?
I would
Fucking
have went like
asswipe.
this. Hold on, sir. Let me get you a YouTube video of Elijah. Or Elijah should have said, I'm the dream.
Elijah shouldn't have to. You know, you should know who he is.
Yeah, well, today's generation don't know a lot.
No.
Bunch of JOs.
Not just that, but like what wasn't Elijah on like 6'11", 7 foot? Like wouldn't you kind of think like,
like
yo,
a
I
needle
think
in a
this dude
haystack?
might have used to play?
Yeah, he's like, I'm a Hall of Famer. The guy's like, hold on, you
He
sure?
should have
It's
had,
like
like,
6'10", you know? Yeah, he is.
Being at the
I
game,
got-
you should have like a
Stay
press
fucking
conference.
courtside.
I'm sorry, I got to see credentials. You got to get.
That's like this came up last. I don't know. Somehow this came up last week, but it was like when I was playing paintball and Sean Bradley was there, and this dude was like, "Is that Sean Bradley?" I'm like, "No, it's another 7'6" white dude."
Yeah, they just
You know what
walk
I mean?
around.
Like there's so many of them.
Yeah, they love playing paintball. 7'6".
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Boy, speaking of that, I know if you think about it, if there's somebody that shouldn't play paintball, it's somebody that's 7'6".
You ain't hitting them in the
Well, he
back.
could stand there and look like a tree. I mean,
Yeah, that's true. Mike Papperner Jr. says the Gators have a redshirt 7'9" guy who'll be playing next season.
Yeah, kid's
wow.
huge.
7'9". Holy shit.
Yeah.
How does he move?
Like that.
Doesn't have to.
Yeah, exactly. Them big motherfuckers don't move
I
well.
seen him this morning at IHOP, the thing that goes in the air.
Will Spencer says, imagine if Cooper stays at Duke. All three All-Americans now, and the top 2 players in the country coming in. Carlos and Cameron Boozer coming in.
Cooper ain't staying, dude. He's going number 1. He's getting his bread.
Yeah. He can't stay. Yeah,
Nah.
I mean it's. I mean
Money's
I don't
out
care.
there.
I
You're
don't
going for the
care
money
how
right now.
much NIL they could offer him. He can't stay.
Nah,
His name's
he-
everywhere.
he's-
I don't even watch
He's
college
proved his
basketball.
point. Playing
And I know
with
who
Team
Cooper Flag
USA. I mean, I think it's time to go to the next stage and
yeah.
play
Mhm.
men against boys against men. You know, he's just that rare talent. He's got it.
And
you
like,
know,
what's the point of not coming out, right? To come out next year, still be the best player in the country, and still go to the worst team in the league?
and
Like, it don't matter. You're going to one of the
Yeah.
worst teams in the league, no matter where you're at.
My
Well, they
thought
got him
process would be,
predicted
suppose you
going
get
to
injured.
the
Suppose you go
Jazz.
back to college and you get injured. You're done.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't make sense.
Go to your dream. Everybody's dream to play in the NBA, whether it's with the Jazz, with the whoever.
Whoever it is.
I hope it's the Sixers, but you never know. But I mean, like you said, go to the next level, and best of luck to you. Because like Jeff said, you go back to college, you can enjoy another college career, or it could be all done in 1 year. Tear your ACL, whatever.
Yep.
So.
Well, speaking of injuries, guys, and especially speaking of Cooper Flag and the Sixers, right before the tournament, Cooper Flag had the perfect future Sixer picture of in a wheelchair because he twisted his ankle. Remember? So anyway,
Yeah.
I feel like Cooper Flag's destined to be a Sixer. But if you get hurt on the job out there, the guy you want to call is Jason Fine, a.k.a. Attorney Big Al. Motor vehicle accident, slip and fall, workers' compensation, or personal injury claims. He's got 3 offices throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey, 1 in Philadelphia, 1 in Cherry Hill, and 1 in Pittsburgh. Cooper Flag don't got to worry about it, but hey, if you get hurt on the job, make sure you call my man. So, all right, well, so speaking of the Sixers, I'll tell you, I was out Saturday night and saw the score, and the Sixers were only losing by 2, and I was like, oh my God, please don't win. Like
It hurt you.
Huh?
They heard you loud and clear.
Thank God, because they almost won. And then so anyway, I was out, and I turned the YouTube on, and thank God Anthony Edwards hit a 3-pointer. I was like, oh, thank God, because really,
from my man Sully.
You look at the future of basketball in Philadelphia and how screwed they are with Joel Embiid being so hurt and Paul George. Who knows what's going to happen with that contract. I mean, if there's ever a team that needs to get lucky with lottery balls, it's the Philadelphia 76ers. So, but I kind of want to ask you guys, like, I don't know, like what, like you see Joel Embiid's getting, or like like a little cleanup,
Right.
So Diego, like I'll ask you, like what, other than praying for lottery balls, like what the hell can this team do? Because I feel like the future is just extremely bleak.
I don't think there's that much they can do. I think we're stuck riding with these three guys into next season. Hopefully the lottery ball's far away. This year we can maybe pick up another top 5 pick. But I mean, I think we're just gonna have to ride out with Joe. Is there any value to even move on from Joel Embiid? Like, what kind of value does he have right now with all this injury stuff going on? Like, where can they go, Joe?
And if they move them, they can get the money. George is gone. Paul George is gone.
To where?
There's a couple teams that already won him, so he's gone. And maybe if they have to, I mean, I loved Embiid. I loved how he played. He played hard the whole 9 yards, but you just can't trust it. I mean, how many times are you just going to wait for him? As soon as he hits the floor, you're like, oh, he's out.
All that guarantee money he has, though, he can't really.
And they just extended him.
What are the options?
With Morey doing that extension, that was a straight kick in the balls. It really was.
Morey needs to go. Morey's the guy that needs to come out of here.
It wasn't well thought of and well planned, just like Diego said. I mean, who would want him? Like I think I sent it to Joey a text. Hornets, Ball, and Williams, and a 2025 unprotected first pick for Embiid and Paul George. It's nice on paper, but would some team do it? Probably not.
No. I got to be honest with you. If Charlotte offered that trade, I would drive them dudes down to Charlotte, and and if Charlotte offered that trade, bro, the Charlotte GM would immediately be fired.
Right. There's
no way, because I mean, can you imagine imagine you're a Charlotte fan and they're like, oh, hey, I got a great deal for you. We're gonna trade LaMelo Ball and an unprotected pick, and we're gonna get a dude that never plays and a 35-year-old. You know what I mean? Can you imagine?
Right.
Howie Roseman can do it. Howie could do it.
I mean, crazier things have happened. Lucas got traded for a bag of chips.
Yeah, there's something very sneaky in the background about that whole situation.
Yeah, so Mike Papperton Jr. says, fire Morey and Nurse because they will mess up the draft. Now, listen, I fully agree that Daryl Morey has screwed a lot of things. Daryl Morey has screwed up the contracts. Like, the Joel Embiid extension, looks like it might be the worst contract in all professional sports with how it is. Yep. But I'll tell you though, and I'm all for criticizing Morey, but I'm not going to criticize Morey's drafts because to be honest with you, Morey's actually drafted extremely well since he's gotten here. I mean, if you look at it, and he's messed up the big moves, so by all means criticize the shit out of him. But if you look at all his ancillary moves, he's actually the real tragedy of this year. All his moves that he's made, other than the most important ones, have actually been really good moves. Like Jared McCain, they took Jared McCain at 16. That kid looks like he can play. Now
he would have been rookie of the year. He don't get hurt.
Right. You got but the kid Bona for a second round pick. He looks like he could be a rotational center for you. Justin Edwards, undrafted, looks like he could be a rotational player. And then he signs Caleb Martin and peddles him for Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes looks like he can play, and the French guy, Yabusele.
Yeah.
Signs him. I mean, so the real tragedy with this situation is that Morey has made Maury's actually made a lot of good moves, but he fucked up the most important ones.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and
Which
and
they're the ones that matter. You know,
Yeah.
I don't care how many good little moves you make if you can't make the big ones that bring you a championship.
Yep.
no,
Boston Celtics. As much as you hate them, look at that starting rotation to the bench. Pritchard. I mean, Diego can go. Devin White. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, but are we going back to the process, or who knows?
We're doing like a mini process.
Yeah.
Looks like we're doing. But we're trying to do it inconspicuous, like losing the game by 2 or 4 points.
Yeah, like Paul Spencer says, Maury's drafting has been good, but it's paying the veterans coming in the big max contracts.
Couldn't said it better.
That's been the problem. Then, and like going forward, like so the Sixers sit fifth in the lottery, or fifth in the lottery standings right now. I think they're two games behind the Pelicans. Like if the Sixers could lose out and the Pelicans could find a way to lose 2 more, they can move up to 4.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that happening because everybody in New Orleans wants to lose too. That's another thing too. Like this NBA is like such a joke. Far as like,
it is. It's hard to watch.
You got I'm not even watching it because what's the point? But like, but
right there waiting.
You got at least 6 or 7 teams that are blatantly out there like trying to lose every single game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, like. Hopefully they keep this pick. And then you almost have to wonder, like going into next year, all right, here's a thought. Like, say you wind up with like the 3rd or 4th pick.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you got McCain, Maxey. If you keep Grimes, that's 3 good guards you got right there. What if you're sitting there at number 3 or 4 and the best player is another guard? I mean, as much as I love Maxey, if you think you're heading into a long rebuild, I'm almost wondering if maybe this is the time to maybe see what you can get for Maxey and reboot this whole thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Depends how you look at Maxey. If he's your piece to build around,
yeah,
or if he's your piece to be able to acquire what you need to build something. And I don't think we move on from Maxey.
Yeah,
no, that would be a revolt.
I think he's the build around guy.
Yeah,
No. I mean, listen, I love Max. I mean, I love Maxey as a player. I love his attitude, and I don't want to trade him.
What year is he going into next year? His 4th?
I think his 4th, yeah.
His 4, yeah.
Now, he actually was drafted in 2020, so 2021.
Yeah, his 5th. His 5th.
He's actually going into his 6th year, believe it or not. Because he was drafted in the COVID draft, 2020. So 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's still getting better.
Yeah. No, listen, I want to. I preface this by saying I want to keep Maxey. My only point is that if you have like the 2nd or 3rd pick overall, you keep Grimes. You got McCain. You don't really know if McCain and Maxey can play together because they're
small.
They're both kind of small. And again, I'm not saying to like give away Maxey. I'm saying if you had a chance to get a shit like, all right, say Embiid gets this procedure done and like he comes to camp, and he's or say Embiid's getting this procedure done,
yeah,
and he's a big question mark. Then you got to trade George and try to get off of his contract, and then say Maxey's agent's like, hey, you know what, I really don't want to rebuild. And then maybe you go forward with like the kid you draft, McCain, Grimes, and then you peddle Maxey for a shit ton of draft picks, and you just reboot.
I guess it comes down to you got to see who's available at the time. Then you make your decision. Always have a backup. Maybe have a trade backup plan set up and ready to go. Obviously, these GMs talk. So
if it's that kid from Rutgers, Maxey's as good as gone. Like you said, get him.
Well, it depends. The one kid from Rutgers is like a 6'7", 6'8" guy. So I mean he would fit in perfectly.
That's what I'm saying.
Because the
Sixers. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the Sixers need wings. You know what I mean?
Talking about wings in a way. I want to give a big shout out to the grade 8.
Oh, yeah.
Ovechkin.
Oh, yeah. Broke the record.
Broke the record. Same amount of games, which is unbelievable.
In a much harder NHL to score in.
Exactly. And he,
Gretzky started his career, them goalies were still wearing the skinny little legs, you know what I'm saying? Dropping down the butterflies, making themselves bigger. Ovechkin broke the record in a much harder NHL.
Down. I'm old enough to remember Grant Fuhr and that whole team and everybody coming down from there and watching his career. And I'm going to tell you, he's been trying to put on a good face, but Gretzky does not look happy that record got broken. He has this scowl on his face. He looks mean. He looks like, why did you do that? And the funny part is the exact same amount of games.
I know that's it. It is impressive. I mean, what a great player, you know. And to his credit too, I mean, he has this great individual accomplishment. And the Capitals are, they're getting ready for the playoffs and stuff. And I read where he's actually passed up, like going on late night shows and all because he wants to focus on getting ready for the playoffs. So.
Yeah, Ovechkin's a gamer, dude. You know, he just wants to play hockey.
Yeah, and he's got one more year left to play, so he's just going to add to that record.
Yeah.
And supposedly he wants to end his career with a year in Russia. We said he wanted to end his career whenever he's done playing hockey, 1 year in Russia.
Okay.
So who knows whether he comes back next year and honors his contract or whether he goes over to Russia to play, but he did it.
Yeah.
He did the class.
At this point, you're the Capitals. You grant him whatever he wants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I liked him. I mean, I liked Gretzky, but I liked Ovechkin better because he was a tougher guy. He would pound you. Where Gretzky, if you got hit, everybody was on top of him, and Gretzky's the one who actually, for a while there, got fighting out of the league and everything going on because he was a little whip. Great player. I never take away any of his talents. And the one big thing that he has over Ovechkin is he's got a ton more assists. So you can say, okay, well, he could have scored those goals, but he gave the puck up to other guys to score. But still, nobody's ever going to catch them. I don't think anybody in the league will ever last as long as these guys have lasted.
No, it's
today's game.
Yeah, you stop and think about it. It is amazing. I mean, you look at, you have Ovechkin. I mean, some of these hockey players that have been playing for so long, like you have Ovechkin, of course, and then, I know we can't stand him, but then we have then you look at a guy like Sidney Crosby that's been around for all these years too. It's like the hockey has a few
longevity,
got a few guys that have a hell of a long longevity. Mike Papper Jr. says, if Gretzky played in the era when Ovechkin played, what would Gretzky have done?
I don't think he scores 895 goals or whatever it is.
I agree. I think he would have been hurt more. He would have been pounded on more.
Yeah. It would have. He would have got these guys. The back then were more aggressors.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to pound you. They're going to want to fight. And it is what it is. Going against a guy like Probert.
Anyway, Flyers, Dave Brown and Ty Domi and you name them. They're out there. And
Dave Brown, etc. I can go on and on, but yeah.
Different game.
I mean, it's hard though, because you sit there and you want, like I always feel like the great ones always find a way though. You know what I mean? In some ways, like they would like a great player would adapt. Like it goes into like the LeBron argument. Like some of the old, some older heads. And again, I'm an older head when it comes to basketball in many ways, but like I've heard people make the argument, oh, LeBron with all this flopping, he's a bitch. Detroit Pistons would make him cry. And like, to be honest with you, I'm not really a LeBron guy, but LeBron's built like a brick shit house. I mean, I feel like LeBron would have found a way to adapt back.
Well, I mean, we have this conversation all the time, like, oh, they would have been physical with him. If he was born in that era, he would have came up playing that same physical style of basketball with his freakish athletic ability. He would still be the best basketball player in the league. He would play that tough because he came up getting played that tough. Like Jordan had to be tough because if he did, he was going to get punched in the face by Bill Laimbeer at the rim. You know what I mean? He toughened himself up to that.
Yeah, well, it's like like you said, it's like Jordan. I mean, they had the Jordan rules, and Jordan would drive the lane. He would get the shit knocked out of him, and then I think they lost to Detroit 2 years in a row. So then in that Bulls, what was it, The Last Dance or whatever? They showed Jordan. They showed Jordan and Pippen and all them dudes like lifting a shit ton of weights in the
getting ready to fight.
They knew they had to get ready, and then they got past Detroit, and then. A couple years later, they had the same shit with the Knicks because the Knicks played the physical style, and then they found a way to get through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thing that just bothers me about LeBron is when he is laying on the ground like a big baby, like he just got thrown to the ground or what. Give me a break.
They all do that now, though.
It's just
that's
so
like it's that has been is part of the game now. Machine making everything look worse than it is. Like it's not just LeBron James. Every player does. Look at him beat, and B's the biggest. He's so I feel like that's just part of the game.
You know what, Paul? You know what, though? Even though I made the argument that LeBron could dominate back then, this is a great point by Paul because he says he feels LeBron would have lasted 20 years with the career he has. You know
I agree.
100%.
That's a great point because now with all this load management and shit too, it extends guys' careers.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You get a night off. Night off, please, man. Just play
but is that hurting these players or helping? These guys back then, they were like, they wouldn't get hurt a lot, regardless of how physical the game was.
I'm going to use this basketball analogy and go back to baseball too. So one of the teams that was our rival was the Braves, who had the best pitching staff for like 12 years in a row when they used to win the division all those years.
The Braves.
Because they used to throw after games, between games. They had them constantly throwing the ball. Now you got a guy that throws 20 pitches and he can't pitch for 3 days. What?
Right.
Give me a break.
I know.
Yesterday we didn't have guys available because they threw the game before. They're pitchers.
Alvarado, perfect example.
They're pitchers.
From Friday to Saturday, you didn't have them. Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Eddie Prather says he hopes the Spurs pull off the lottery miracle. Well, Eddie, appreciate you checking out the show, but I'm sorry, I can't hope for that.
We need the Sixers too.
Yeah, and especially the Spurs, though. I mean, Christ, no offense. How many times you guys going to win the fucking lottery? I mean,
you just got the best player in the last 30 years.
Minnesota,
I know.
Look out of here.
Minnesota win it like 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, they had David Robertson, like back in the late 90s.
David Robinson.
They had David Robinson, and then Robinson got hurt, and they lucked out, and they won
Tim
the lottery.
Duncan.
They got Tim Duncan, and then they started the dynasty. And now fast forward, they were a dynasty for so many years, and then all of a sudden they had 4 or 5 years of hard times or whatever it was, and then they wind up with Victor Wembanyama, who was literally they're saying was one of the greatest
generational baseball player.
Yeah, one of the greatest prospects in any sport of any time because he's such a great prospect. And and now they got him. Yeah, sorry, dude, but I hope you guys have
more luck. Like they need more luck. He's got the best fucking player possibly ever. He's looking that way. Give him the number 1 pick the next 2 years too.
For a minute there, Diego's screen went blank. I thought maybe he was playing that blind squirrel game.
I know, right?
Where is Diego? Here I am.
Well, think about it, and look at the Sixers' lack of luck. I mean, we get a guy, Joel Embiid, who's probably the most talented big man that I've ever seen. And he's like Samuel L. Jackson in Unbreakable.
Mr. Gliss, baby.
Yeah, then you get the next LeBron James and Ben Simmons, never develops into anything, shits the bed. We did get lucky with Maxey, though, because if COVID don't happen, we don't get Maxey.
We ain't getting him.
We don't get Maxey.
He's probably on the Spurs.
Yeah.
That's right.
Michael Packard Jr. says, if MJ played today in 20 years, his numbers would be untouchable.
True.
Yeah. Possibly, yeah.
MJ be a top 25 player in this league.
Of course he was.
Oh yeah.
But that's where I feel like it ends. He wouldn't be the best player in the league.
What, you don't think Jordan would be the best player in the league?
No, I don't.
Oh, I do.
I do.
Especially with the especially with how many of a lot of these.
What did he shoot? What did he shoot? What was his 3-point percentage?
Yeah, but well, then again, it is a.
What was his career 3-point percentage? In this NBA, you got to be able to hit a 3 at like 40%.
I don't care. I still
like
think
that stat.
Allen Iverson, my favorite player of all time.
Me too.
I don't think he'd be able to play in this league because he didn't hit a 3 good enough.
He's a tough little guy, and he would run around. I think he could. Maxi's playing this. I think.
But Maxi steps back and hits a 33-footer pure.
Yeah.
You know, like he can get to the rim, but Iverson just stepped back, forced him to shoot a 3. That wasn't his specialty.
He wouldn't step back. Iverson
exactly. That wasn't today's NBA. You know, I think Michael Jordan would be a really good player. He'd find a way to get his 25 points per game, but they would have won 6 championships in a row in this NBA.
No.
Not with the Golden States, with Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Lakers teams. He wasn't winning 6 in a row in this NBA.
No. No, it's tough to win
Spencer
2 in this
says,
NBA.
with today's game, Jordan never seen a whisper foul. He dominates the game alone at the foul line. Eddie Prather says, if I'm a GM, I wouldn't invest in a 7-foot player. When someone that size starts getting injured, it's over for that player. That is, I mean, big men in injuries. Look at Yao Ming.
Yeah.
Mike Papper Jr. says MJ would be the best without hand checking, and it's not man to man anymore.
Just because you don't see tough defense anymore, don't mean these players aren't more athletic, faster laterally, can jump higher, react to things better. Like, let's be real. The talent, even Stephen A said it on the show the other day, the talent nowadays is just so much better. And that's just how sports work. Everything just gets better.
Yeah, but you're talking pure talent, though. See, my argument would be, though, Jordan, like guys like Jordan and Kobe's mental ability, the mental aspect, they had just such a willingness to be great and a drive to be great that they would find a way to bitch these dudes out.
You have to have players around you, 100%. You have to have players around you for you to have a great game. You got to have those complementary players. Any team, any sport. Just think about that. So if you think of the Bulls right now, like with the Bulls of then to right now, do you think the Bulls of then, the Pippen and Jordan and those guys could take on a team right now? Do you think they would be good?
Someone just said in the comments that Jordan would take over the league because they don't have a center sitting at the rim. They don't have a center sitting at the rim because it's not the way the NBA works anymore.
Right.
There's no reason to have that center at the rim. When you're 7-footers shooting 3-pointers and stretching the floor.
It is an interesting argument. Paul Spencer has my point. He says Diego is Jordan's mentality beats pure athleticism. I will say to Diego's point though, Jordan would be similar to Anthony Edwards.
But
I think Jordan would be better. I just think that Jordan was just such a. It's hard.
He was the right player for that era. If you think
exactly,
about it,
he was the right player for that time in the NBA to do what he did and propel the NBA to what it is today.
LeBron is the player for this era. Jordan was the player for that era. Who was before that?
Kobe was in between them.
Kobe, you got usually it's like one big player sticks out, and that seems to be the way that most teams or even any league, you name it, baseball, football.
Yeah, the only one I can remember 2 players was Magic against Bird.
That's another thing. Yeah. Jordan played in an era where everything was man to man. Nowadays, they would just switch everything off. Yeah. Every time someone said to pick Jordan, the next guy is just as athletic as you. You know what I mean? He didn't have that back then. You could really find mismatches back then. Even in like the 2000s era of basketball, you would find Tim Duncan mismatches. You would find you would get the big on Allen Iverson. He was too fast and beat him to the cup. It's hard to gain an athletic edge in this NBA. Every dude can run and jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the
NBA has had the biggest change of the way the sport is.
100%.
Football,
they play no defense.
Yeah, no, man, they have some, but then that's changed a heck of a lot.
No,
You're right.
Shit.
Yeah.
They don't, but usually once these games get to the playoffs, like the last two rounds of the playoffs,
once they get to the playoffs,
That's the
right?
problem. You can't.
And the game changes.
Me, from beginning to end, play defense. But like you said, new era. It's like screw it. We'll play when we want to. To me, that don't work. That's where you lose me. I want to see a good ass game, start to finish, beginning season, end of the season.
Yeah, but even the rules have changed. Look, James Harden ain't getting 20 free throws a game anymore.
Yeah, but
let's see. All right, one more. Steven Jackson said when Jordan owned the home. Steven Jackson said when Jordan owned the Hornets, he came down during practice at 47 years old, played on the second team, and ate up the first team.
Wow, big deal. The Hornets never had a good team. name me who was guarding Michael Jordan on that team.
Larry Johnson, Muggsy Bogues.
Larry Johnson's grandma, remember?
Yeah, grandma. Kendall Gill.
This would, you know what? This would be a great show. This would be a good show to do.
Yeah,
I feel like doing all. I feel like I'd like to do a whole show on who would be good now and who would be trash. You know what I mean? That'd be great
for another time. Yeah,
another time. But anyway, all right. Well, let's get ready to wrap this one up on out of here. So. All right, so hopefully we get the Phillies with a good week.
Get those brooms.
And whoever has I like Houston tonight. I don't know if I said that, but I like Houston. But whoever has if anybody has Florida or Houston, good luck to you.
Gators.
And we'll see you all. Have a good one.
All right, y'all. Peace out.
Have
a good night, guys.
Later.
See ya.
Take care. You have to close it out, I think, Joe.